Have you ever wanted something so badly, but it just seemed so far away, the relationship, the car, the job, the peace of mind, and no matter how hard you worked, no matter how much effort you gave, it just didn't show up? Well, what if I told you it's not just about doing, it's about being? The real secret is this: you attract what you believe you deserve, and that belief starts long before the physical thing arrives in your life, because we live in a world that constantly responds not to our words but to our energy, and your energy is shaped by your self-concept, your self-worth, your internal narrative, not by the prayers you whisper out of desperation, but by the quiet assumptions you carry all day long, those invisible thoughts that sound like "I'm not enough," or "people like me never get lucky," or "I'll always be waiting for my turn." And these beliefs sit beneath your surface, shaping what you say yes to, what you walk away from, what you even allow yourself to hope for, and it's no wonder then that the things you want seem to take so long to manifest, because if your subconscious is resisting them, rejecting them, questioning them, or fearing them, your actions, no matter how intentional or consistent, are always working against a current that's flowing in the opposite direction. And this is why people get exhausted chasing love or abundance or peace, because they're doing all the right things outwardly, but inwardly they're still stuck in an identity of lack or fear or unworthiness. And what no one tells you is that you can't fake that part. You can't trick the universe by pretending, because the universe responds to your default state, not your performative state. It listens to who you are in the silence, not who you appear to be when the lights are on. So the real work is not about how hard you try, but how deeply you believe, how naturally you embody the reality you want before you see even a hint of it. And this is not about being delusional or out of touch with reality. It's about being so anchored in faith, in vision, in clarity, that you are no longer ruled by fear, by time, or by external conditions. You no longer need proof before you decide to believe, because your belief has become the proof. Your calm has become the evidence. Your peace has become the strategy. And this is where most people give up, because they want the results to convince them. They want the love to arrive before they feel worthy. They want the money to land before they feel safe. They want the opportunity to appear before they step into confidence. But it never works like that, because the outside always follows the inside always, and until you shift the inside, until you declare yourself ready, enough, and aligned, nothing permanent will stay on the outside. And that's the hard truth most people don't want to sit with, because it requires you to stop blaming luck, timing, or people for your patterns. It requires you to take radical ownership of your vibration, your identity, your internal story, and not just during meditation or journaling, but every single day, in the way you walk, the way you speak about yourself, the way you respond to challenges, the way you handle silence. Rejection, waiting, and uncertainty, because those are the moments that truly reveal whether you believe you're worthy or not. And if you don't, that's okay. That's where the work begins. The work of reconditioning your nervous system, of affirming your truth, of removing yourself from environments that keep you small, of speaking to yourself with reverence, of looking in the mirror and saying, "I am her. I am him. I am already enough." Not once, not occasionally, but until it becomes the language of your being, until it becomes your natural rhythm, until it becomes who you are without effort, without doubt, without delay. And in that space something magical happens, because life can now meet you where you already are. You can say all the right things, recite the affirmations, write down your goals every morning, meditate in silence, visualize for 21 days straight, and still find yourself stuck in the same cycle, not because you're not trying hard enough, but because your energy has not shifted, because your energy is still whispering the opposite of what your words are trying to scream. And energy doesn't lie. It cannot be manipulated or forced. It is felt before it is heard, known before it is seen. And the truth is, your energy always tells the story you're too afraid to speak out loud. It tells the world whether you believe you're valuable, whether you trust yourself, whether you think you're enough. and the world responds not to the fantasy you hope for, but to the frequency you live in every day. So when your mouth says, "I'm ready for love," but your energy says, "I'm afraid to be abandoned," when your mouth says, "I want success," but your energy says, "I don't trust myself to sustain it," when your mouth says, "I deserve better," but your energy says, "I'm still stuck in shame and doubt," the universe hears the contradiction, the vibration splits, and nothing sticks, nothing grows, nothing moves, because what's within you is still at war, still unsettled, still waiting to be cleaned up and recalibrated. And most people don't want to go there because it means sitting with the messy parts, the wounded parts, the parts you buried behind achievement and performance and perfection. But this is where the shift begins, when you stop trying to force results and start transforming your inner state. When you stop looking outside for validation and start rooting into a peace that doesn't need applause. When you stop performing worthiness and start feeling worthy by default, because your energy introduces you before your words do, because people feel you before they understand you, because opportunities open not just for talent, but for alignment. And your alignment is not about faking confidence or acting happy or masking insecurity with forced positivity. It's about healing the part of you that still believes you have to earn love, that still believes you need to prove your value, that still believes you're not allowed to rest until you've done something big enough. And when you stop living from that place of needing to earn, needing to chase, needing to be picked, your energy becomes soft and strong at the same time. It becomes magnetic, because now you're no longer pushing for what's already yours. You're allowing it in. You're letting it come to you because you've made space for it in your body, your spirit, your nervous system. And that space doesn't come from waiting. It comes from choosing to feel secure even when nothing outside is secure, choosing to feel chosen even when no one is calling, choosing to feel rich even when the bank account doesn't reflect it yet, because that energy, that choice, sends a signal that you are ready, that you are available, that you are in tune, and the right things cannot resist a person who is fully in tune, not just with what they want, but with who they are, not just with the idea of abundance, but with the frequency of it, not just with the dream, but with the version of themselves who lives it already, breathes it already, embodies it without trying to convince anyone, without asking for permission, without needing permission. You're not here to chase. And yet most people spend their whole lives in pursuit mode, constantly trying to catch the next thing, constantly trying to grasp the future like it's running away from them. And the more they chase, the more tired they become, the more burned out they feel, the more disconnected they grow from the very thing they say they want. Because attraction doesn't come from force. It doesn't come from hunger. It doesn't come from lack. It comes from stillness, from alignment, from a place of deep inner knowing that says, I don't need to fight for what's mine. I don't need to beg for what's meant for me. I just need to become the version of myself who is already living in it, already feeling it, already breathing it in every cell of her being. Because the universe is never confused, it doesn't operate based on desperation. It operates based on vibration. It responds to how you feel far more than what you say. And so many people obsess over the outcome, over the timing, over how and when and why, over the little details they cannot control, and they miss the most important part, the feeling, the state of being, the emotional signature that unlocks the path without needing to push so hard, because you were never meant to be in a constant state of lack, constantly saying it's not here yet, or why is it taking so long, or what am I doing wrong? Those questions are rooted in fear, and fear is a block, not a bridge. But when you let go of needing it now and start feeling it now, when you let go of proving and start embodying, when you stop chasing the thing and start becoming the person who already has it, everything shifts without you needing to control it. Everything aligns without you having to micromanage every step, because emotion is the magnet. Emotion is the language the universe responds to. And if you keep waiting to feel peace until the thing arrives, you'll keep the thing at a distance. You'll keep looping in Cycle of almost and not yet, and what most people don't realize is that they are always being invited to step into the frequency of what they want before it ever shows up. That peace you want to feel when the relationship is here, you have to feel it now. That confidence you want to have when the opportunity comes, you need to wear it now. That joy you imagine when the money lands, you must tap into it now, because that feeling isn't the result, it's the cause. It's not what comes after, it's what comes first. And when you train yourself to live in that emotion without needing evidence, without needing guarantees, without needing someone to validate it for you, you become magnetic to the exact experiences that match that frequency. And the truth is, this doesn't mean you won't have human moments. It doesn't mean you won't feel doubt or fear or sadness, but you will no longer live there. You'll know how to return home to the feeling, how to get back to the vibration, how to anchor yourself in what's true instead of what's loud, because the world will always try to distract you, delay you, discredit you. But the one thing it cannot take from you is your ability to choose how you feel, to choose what you align with, to choose what you become available for. And the moment you start choosing emotion over evidence, alignment over anxiety, trust over control, is the moment everything around you begins to shift without you needing to force it, because now you're living in the future before it gets here. Now you're letting your feelings guide your future instead of letting your circumstances define your feelings. Maybe your past taught you things it had no right to teach you. Maybe you grew up around people who never saw your light clearly, people who made you question your voice, your worth, your softness, your brilliance, people who projected their own pain onto you, not because you were wrong, but because they had never learned how to be right with themselves. And maybe because of that you started to think you had to earn love, that you had to overgive to be chosen, that you had to shrink to be safe, that you had to constantly prove you were enough in order to feel like you mattered. And so you built a life around that script. You started acting from it, speaking from it, moving from it, even if it didn't feel good, even if something deep inside of you knew it wasn't the truth. Because familiarity is powerful, and sometimes the stories we hate are the ones we're most comfortable with. And we stay stuck not because we can't move forward, but because the unknown feels more threatening than the pain we've grown used to. So we keep replaying the old narratives even when they no longer fit the new identity we're trying to step into. And the truth is, you can't rewrite your future while still protecting the pages of your past. You can't fully expand while still rehearsing the wounds of who you used to be. And at some point, if you want something different, you have to stop telling the story of lack. Stop identifying with the old version of yourself who was always waiting, always hoping, always compromising, always settling, and decide that you are no longer that person, not because she was bad or broken or weak, but because you have simply outgrown her, because her lessons were valuable but her limits no longer apply. And this is the hardest part of growth, not the action but the identity shift. The moment you realize that healing requires grieving the version of yourself that was built in survival, the version that kept you alive but can't take you to your next level. And when you understand that, you stop asking for permission to become more. You stop waiting for approval to step into your power. You stop explaining your evolution to people who only understand your past, because now you are choosing to become the author of your own story. Now you are choosing to write new chapters without apologizing for the edits. Now you are choosing to believe that ease is allowed, that love is safe, that you can receive without guilt, rest without shame, exist without needing to prove your value through performance. And in that space, something beautiful unfolds, because the more you let go of the old script, the more room you create for new experiences, new relationships, new ways of being that feel aligned, that feel soft, that feel whole. And it's not that life suddenly becomes perfect or painless, it's that you are no longer navigating it from fear. You are no longer walking into rooms wondering if you're good enough, because you've already decided you are, and that decision starts to reflect in everything. In your standards, your energy, your habits, your boundaries, your vision. And that's when people start to say you've changed. not realizing that you've simply returned to who you were before the world taught you to doubt yourself, before pain convinced you to play small, before silence made you feel invisible, before the noise of everyone else drowned out your own voice. And now that voice is coming back stronger, clearer, more certain than ever. Not because you became someone new, but because you finally gave yourself permission to be who you've always been underneath it all. Here's what no one really teaches us while we're busy chasing the next milestone, stressing over timing and trying to control every piece of the process. Gratitude is not just a nice idea, it's a frequency shift, it's a direct portal to alignment. It's the fastest way to collapse the space between where you are and where you want to be, because what you're grateful for multiplies, what you appreciate expands, what you thank in advance moves toward you with more certainty. But most people don't use gratitude that way. They use it like an afterthought, like something they remember only when something big happens, only when a dream comes true or a goal is reached, and so they stay stuck in the gap, the space between now and the thing they want, constantly obsessing over what's missing, constantly affirming the absence instead of the presence. And they don't realize that every time they say it's not here yet, or I'm still waiting, or why isn't it happening for me, they are reinforcing the energy of lack, the very vibration that keeps what they want at arm's length. Because gratitude is not about what you have in your hands, it's about what you choose to hold in your heart. It's not about waiting for something to happen before you feel joy. It's about deciding to feel the joy that invites the thing to happen. And that's the shift most people are missing. Not the action, not the effort, but the emotional bridge that gratitude builds between the now and the not yet, between hope and fulfillment, between the ordinary and the miraculous. And when you start waking up and saying thank you not just for what's in front of you, but for what's on its way, something changes in your body, in your spirit, in the way the world responds to you, because now you are no longer waiting with tension, you are receiving with trust, you are no longer doubting timing, you are preparing with faith, you are no longer asking when or how, because your gratitude says it's already done, already aligned, already yours. And when that becomes your default state, you start feeling full even in the midst of uncertainty. You start feeling peace even when the answers haven't arrived. You start moving like a person who knows life is working for you, not against you. And that is the kind of energy that cannot be ignored. That's the kind of frequency that opens doors without you needing to knock so hard. That's the kind of presence that attracts not just opportunities but ease, softness, flow, because when you feel safe before the outcome, when you feel grateful before the arrival, when you feel joy before the evidence, life rushes in to meet you at that level, not because you forced it, not because you manipulated it, but because you trusted it. You let go of the grip and chose grace instead. You stopped fighting and started flowing. And even when nothing outside had changed yet, everything inside you had already shifted, and that shift is what creates the new outcome. That shift is what rewrites the story. That shift is what turns waiting into welcoming, pressure into presence, lack into overflow. And in that space you realize gratitude isn't something you practice only when things are good. It's the reason things become good. It's not a response to life. It's an instruction to life. It's not a passive emotion. It's a powerful choice, one you make moment by moment, thought by thought, word by word, and the more you choose it, the more you feel it, the more you feel it, the more you become it, until you are no longer chasing blessings, but walking in them daily without needing them to prove your worth. You don't need to hustle to prove you're worthy. You don't need to chase to be chosen. You are allowed to soften. You are allowed to believe, and you are powerful enough to feel your future before it arrives. So go ahead. Close your eyes. Take a breath. Feel it, because it's not coming. It's already here and now. You are ready to receive it.